There's a certain dishonesty to polyurethane. It's a plastic coating. You take a beautiful, living piece of wood, a material that has spent decades breathing and growing, and you suffocate it in a layer of synthetic resin. Sure, it looks shiny for a little while. It gives you that brand new, straight from the factory gleam. But wood is not plastic. It needs to breathe. When you trap it under a non-porous film, you invite trouble. Changes in humidity, the natural expansion and contraction of the wood, all of this creates stress. That plastic coating simply can't keep up with the soul of the material it's supposed to be protecting. It's a fundamental mismatch. I've seen it time and time again. A tabletop that was once pristine now has a cloudy, milky patch where a sweaty glass sat for too long. Moisture gets trapped underneath the polyurethane, unable to escape, and the finish fogs up like a bathroom mirror. Or worse, you see the edges start to lift and peel. It looks like a bad sunburn, with flakes of plastic sloughing off, exposing the vulnerable wood beneath. This isn't protection, it's a temporary illusion. The finish fails, and when it does, it fails catastrophically. You can't just spot fix it. You have to embark on the soul-crushing task of stripping the entire piece down to bare wood and starting over. This is where the wisdom of older methods comes into play. Before we had factories churning out cans of plastic goo, craftspeople understood that a finish should work with the wood, not against it. A proper finish should become part of the wood itself. It should penetrate deep into the fibers, hardening them from within and creating a durable, water-resistant surface that doesn't just sit on top. This approach respects the material. It allows the wood to continue its life, to breathe and move and develop character over time, rather than being entombed in a brittle, synthetic shell that is destined to crack and fail. The goal is to enhance what is already there, not to cover it up. A penetrating oil finish doesn't form a film. It bonds with the wood on a molecular level. It soaks into the grain, occupying the microscopic spaces between the wood fibers. This not only makes the wood stronger, but also gives it a deep, lustrous glow that seems to come from within. It's the difference between looking at a photograph of a forest and actually standing in one. One is a flat representation, the other is a rich, living experience. This is the path to a finish that lasts a lifetime and only gets better with age. My workshop's go-to blend is simple, effective, and smells a whole lot better than a chemical factory. The main ingredient is 100% pure tung oil. This isn't the tung oil finish you find at the big box store, which is often just a thinned-down varnish with a drop of actual tung oil in it. I'm talking about the real stuff, pressed from the nut of the tung tree. On its own, raw tung oil is thick, like honey. It has a hard time soaking deep into dense hardwoods. That's where our second ingredient comes in, a good citrus solvent. This natural thinner acts as a carrier, a vehicle to transport the oil deep into the wood's pores. The citrus solvent is the key to deep penetration. It temporarily thins the tung oil, allowing the mixture to wick its way far beneath the surface. As the solvent evaporates, it leaves the oil behind to begin its magic. This magic is a process called polymerization. Unlike a simple varnish that just dries, tung oil cures. It reacts with oxygen in the air and undergoes a chemical change, linking its molecules together to form a tough, flexible, and non-toxic polymer. This polymer becomes an integral part of the wood structure, hardening it from the inside out. It's not a coating, it's an infusion. For an extra layer of protection and a beautiful soft sheen, we add the third and final ingredient, beeswax. Once the oil has soaked in, a final coat containing melted beeswax provides a sacrificial, hydrophobic layer on the surface. Think of it as a good wax jacket for your wood. It repels water beautifully, causing it to bead up and roll right off. The beeswax also fills in any remaining microscopic pores on the surface, giving the wood a silky smooth feel to the touch. The mix is simple. I generally go with a 2-to-1 ratio of citrus solvent to tung oil for the initial coats, and then a final coat with a small amount of beeswax melted into the oil. This combination creates a finish that is both protective and breathable. The polymerized tung oil provides durability and water resistance from within the wood's fibers, while the beeswax offers a renewable surface barrier. Crucially, this system is microporous. It stops liquid water from getting in, but it allows water vapor to get out. This means the wood can naturally acclimate to changes in humidity without the finish blistering, clouding, or peeling. It's a symbiotic relationship, a partnership between the finish and the wood that respects the nature of the material and is built to endure. Applying this finish is more of a massage than a paint job. The real secret to a glass smooth surface without a plastic feel is a technique called wet sanding. After getting the wood sanded to its final grit, say 220, I flood the surface with my Tung oil and citrus solvent mixture. Then, using 400 grit wet or dry sandpaper, I begin sanding the wood with the oil. This process creates a superfine slurry of wood dust and oil. This slurry acts as a perfect grain filler, packing the microscopic pores of the wood with its own material. On a piece of walnut, you can see the magic happen right away. The open grain becomes a smooth, uniform surface. After letting the slurry sit for about 20 minutes, allowing the oil to soak in as much as possible, I wipe away all the excess with a clean lint-free rag, and I mean all of it. If you leave any pooling on the surface, it will cure into a sticky or gummy mess. The goal is to have the finish in the wood, not on it. I repeat this process for 2 or 3 coats, waiting about 24 hours between each one. For the final coat, I'll mix in some melted beeswax and apply it with a cloth, letting it sit for an hour before buffing it to a warm satin sheen. It's a hands-on process that connects you to the piece. Patience is paramount. While the surface may feel dry to the touch in a day or two, the polymerization process takes time. The oil needs to fully cure and harden, a process that can take up to 30 days depending on temperature and humidity. Before then, the finish is still vulnerable. Once that cure time is up, however, it's ready for the crucible. I set up a simple but effective test. 2 identical pieces of walnut, one finished with my oil beeswax blend and the other with a high-quality commercial polyurethane. I placed a wet glass on each for an hour and then a mug of hot coffee. The results spoke for themselves. The dreaded white ring, the mark of trapped moisture, appeared almost instantly on the polyurethane sample. The heat from the coffee mug left a hazy, dull spot. On my Tung oil finish, there was nothing. The water beat it up and wiped away without a trace. The heat from the mug had no effect on the finish. Macro photos showed the water sitting proudly on top of the oiled wood, whereas on the polyurethane, you could see it start to creep under the edges of the plastic film. It's a clear demonstration of a finish that repels water versus one that merely traps it. One of the greatest virtues of an oil finish is how it ages. It doesn't fail, it gracefully wears. A polyurethane finish, over months and years of use, tends to yellow and become brittle. Scratches stand out as white gouges in the plastic layer, and as we've seen, it is prone to peeling and clouding. The wood underneath is frozen in time, unable to develop the rich depth and character that comes with age. My oiled walnut, on the other hand, has only gotten more beautiful. The finish has deepened the wood's natural color, and the grain seems to have more life and iridescence. It's developing a patina, an honest record of its use. Should a deep scratch or a stubborn stain ever occur on my oiled table, the repair is a simple, localized affair. There is no need for chemical strippers or a drum sander. I can simply take a bit of fine grit sandpaper, lightly sand the affected area, and reapply a small amount of my oil blend. In a day or two, the repair will be virtually invisible, blending seamlessly with the surrounding finish. Try that with polyurethane. You can't. A scratch in plastic is forever, and the only true fix is to strip the entire surface and start from scratch, a miserable and dusty undertaking. Then there's the matter of cost. A gallon of pure Tung oil and a can of citrus solvent might seem like a significant upfront investment compared to a single quart of polyurethane. However, that gallon will finish dozens of projects. When you calculate the cost per square foot, the DIY blend is significantly cheaper. A little goes a very long way, especially when you are wiping off all the excess. Because the finish is so durable and easy to repair, you also save on the long-term costs of maintenance, stripping chemicals, and refinishing labor. It's an investment that pays dividends in both beauty and frugality. Ultimately, the choice comes down to philosophy. Do you want to encase your wood in a disposable plastic shell, or do you want to form a lasting partnership with it? The Tung oil finish celebrates the wood's inherent qualities, allowing it to live, breathe, and age with grace. It creates a piece that tells a story, a surface that invites touch and only improves with time. It's an honest finish for an honest material. It requires a bit more patience and a bit more work up front, but the rewards, a beautiful, durable, and easily maintained piece of furniture, are well worth the effort. It's a secret worth sharing.